You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, CBS soap fans. Welcome to Soap Dirt's edition of your daily spoilers for the week of March 6th through 10th, 2023. As we saw this week, there is a lot going on. We've got Hope confronted with losing her line unless things improve drastically. And apparently all roads lead back to the only available designer in LA with an I, and that must be Thomas. We also saw Sheila go over to Deacon's and let him know that Dollar Bill isn't too adventurous in the bedroom. For a guy who calls himself the Stallion and prides himself on satisfying the ladies, it looks like he is not doing it for Sheila Carter. But you know what a Deacon will like to hear this news. You know how he likes to say, daddy like. You got to know that he likes that. So leaving off on Friday of this week and then picking back up on Monday, March 6, 2023. It is season 36, episode 107 of Bold and the Beautiful. Now, Friday, we saw Sheila Carter ripping Deacon's shirt buttons open. It was very hot in his crappy little apartment, which is not so hot. And she let him know that Bill's not doing everything she needs done between the sheets. So she and Deacon continue their little love sesh. It's clear that he's got feelings for all 9 toes of hers, and she's got feelings for him. But Deacon's also astute, and he told her this week reminded her that Bill is the key to her ongoing freedom. And it sounds like she's finding life with Bill dull as dishwater, but Deacon's right. Bill's the one who could have her everything stripped away and have her sent back to jail. So she has to play this carefully, and she has been up until now. But on Monday, they give in to temptation, and Deacon and Sheila hit the sheets of his little fold-out bed again, which is bad enough, but it looks like Liam Spencer gets a clue of what's going on. And it's funny because this week Liam had a good conversation with Deacon, who reminded him that although Steffi getting custody of Douglas isn't great, it's better than Thomas getting custody. So Deacon and Liam had a little of a moment of understanding, but that understanding is going to go away if Liam figures out that he's the one that Sheila is seeing. So on Tuesday, March 7th, episode 108, we'll see that Liam makes a little chink in his dad's armor, in Bill's armor, and causes him to have some doubts about Sheila. Now, it's one thing for Bill to be going off to meetings and doing things, but maybe Dollar Bill starts to question, where are all these appointments that Sheila's going to? What's going on? Why is she out hanging around when she doesn't have a job and she's just living in his mansion for free? So Liam makes Bill start to think. Also on Tuesday, Taylor encourages Brooke Logan to see things a new way. Coming next week, we're going to have the situation where Hope really knows that she needs Thomas back to save her line, but a sticking point for her is her mother. Hope is free to forgive Thomas for anything she wants, but she can't forgive Thomas on behalf of Brooke. So she wants Thomas to go make things right with Brooke. But of course, all B&B watchers know that Brooke has it in for Thomas. She sees straight through him. And even if you think she's being harsh, it generally works out in the end that she's right about her stepson, and he's just trouble in a sexy suit. However, Thomas will do what Hope asks, and he will not only make an apology to her, but it'll be a public mea culpa because he doesn't want anyone to doubt that he's sincere, and he wants it to be a public gesture. So once he does this, can Taylor convince Brooke to open her mind a little bit to him, at least working back at the family business? Or is it going to fall on deaf ears? We'll have to wait and see. But those are the two big things happening Tuesday, March 7th. Midweek, it's Wednesday, March 8th, 2023 on Bold and the Beautiful for season 36, episode 109. And the spoiler, the one and only official spoiler for Wednesday, is that things are getting dangerous for the two people that are sneaking around. And of course, those two people sneaking around are Deacon and Sheila. Will Bill bust them? Will it be Hope? Will it be Liam, who has set his sights on getting Sheila out of his dad's life? There's no telling, but it also seems like Deacon and Sheila can't stop doing what they're doing. So they're going to get busted, and there's a little danger for them on Wednesday, which of course might just make things hotter and heavier for those two. On Thursday, March 9th, we're in episode 110 of season 36 of B&B. And we see Hope Logan turning up with some news that completely shocks Liam. The safest bet is that this is Hope telling him, oh, to save my line, I had to rehire Thomas. And of course, Liam's going to go ballistic. That might benefit Sheila, though, because if Liam is so busy obsessing about Thomas, then maybe he won't be following her while she's off to shag Deacon in his ratty little apartment. But you know that Liam isn't going to take this very well, and he's going to be upset, especially because it was Steffi's idea. And Liam kind of thought everybody was on the same page about Thomas, that, Thomas is 100% bad and needs to remain in purgatory. But if Thomas wasn't coming between Liam and Hope, their marriage would be utterly boring and a complete snooze fest. Then on Friday, March 10th, it's episode 111. And the sole spoiler, official spoiler for this day, is that Hope has to make a tough decision. It has to be down to her considering whether she wants to work with Thomas again, or if she'll face losing her line, which is what Steffi Forrester threatened this week. It's kind of interesting because Hope herself is not a designer, and she has a fashion line, just like Steffi is not a designer and she's running the company. So it's very interesting. And, Hope's going to let Liam weigh in heavily on this. And of course, Liam doesn't know doodly about fashion. He works at a publishing corporation, but the main thing that he knows is he does not want Thomas around his wife. He doesn't trust the guy. And with good reason, Thomas has proved to be completely untrustworthy. But can Hope give up her fashion line and just be a stay-at-home mom to her kids? It seems like she was really devastated when Steffi mentioned that she could lose her line. So the safe bet is that Hope will do something that Liam will not like and will agree to hiring back Thomas Forrester. What's really aggravating for a lot of fans is that this is just on a repeat cycle where Thomas cannot give up his obsession with Hope. And if you have been watching Bold for a long time, you should know that this is a retcon, a retroactive change in character to make a current plot line work. Way back in the day, when Thomas and Steffi were conspiring to keep Liam and Hope apart, they were down in Mexico, and that was the first time that Thomas had really spent time with Hope, and he basically romanced her a little to distract her from Liam so that Steffi could have time with Liam. But back then, Thomas had no specific interest in her, okay? None. It was just he was doing a favor for Steffi. There was no great big love story for them. This obsession is a new invention. And it started when they recast Matthew Atkinson in the role. Because while Pearson Faudet was in the role, remember, he was into Sally Spectra. And then, of course, he had a baby. And but he was okay parenting and not being with Caroline Spencer. But Hope was nowhere in that mix. For when Pearson Fode was first recast as him, Thomas was just kind of a playboy. He was around with models. But then he had the hots for Ridge's then wife, Caroline Spencer. And she and Ridge had an argument. She took a sleeping pill. Thomas didn't know it. He showed up to see her. They ended up sleeping together. A lot of people cried that it was rape. He didn't know she was on drugs. He just thought, she's had a fight with Ridge and she's finally opened up to me. So it was very complicated. And that was when Ridge tried to steal the baby by saying he was the father. So anyway, the bottom line is, up until they brought Matthew Atkinson back, Thomas had no interest in Hope other than as an obstacle he was helping get out of the way for his sister to get the guy she wanted. So it's a little frustrating watching this because now the bold writers have just stuck these people into this cycle, and a lot of people want Thomas free of it. Even people that don't like Thomas would like to see an end to this. And we've been promised in official spoilers from the writers and showrunner Brad Bell that Thomas was going to get a new love interest. Thomas was going to get a new love interest. And then it never manifested. And then he's humping an oversized Hope-looking Barbie doll. And it's just endlessly frustrating. Okay, so pardon the digression there. But on Friday, Hope has a tough decision to make. And she's going to let Thomas back in her life. And this merry-go-round is going to keep going, despite fans being really tired of it and wanting something better for everyone. So more of this retcon, keeping this Thomas obsession that never existed before puffed up, So that's everything that's happening next week on Bold and the Beautiful, Monday, March 6th through Friday, March 10th. We appreciate you listening. Be sure and check us out on all the podcast platforms and on our YouTube channel.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.